New York City, on November 30th, 1994, the legendary hip-hop artist Tupac Shakur was attacked in the lobby of Quad Recording Studios in Manhattan. The evening was uneventful until Tupac, after receiving an invite to record a verse, was confronted by 3 armed men in the lobby. They proceeded to rob and shoot him multiple times, leading to severe injuries, including one that grazed his skull. While the shooting itself was a seminal moment, the subsequent fallout had far-reaching effects on the hip-hop community. Slate writer Joel Anderson's Season 3 of the Slow Burn podcast takes a closer look at that night and the feud that followed. Tupac was in New York doing mixtapes and guest appearances while on trial in the city on sexual assault charges. He needed that money to pay his legal bills to get through that trial, Anderson explained. As Shakur was about to enter the studios, he heard some familiar voices. The shooting happened in the lobby of Quad Studios on the night of November 30th, 1994. He's walking around the corner, and he hears some familiar voices from several stories above. The people yelling at him were Lil Cease and members of Biggie's affiliate rap group, Junior Mafia. They were all excited to see each other. Lil Cease runs down to the lobby to meet Tupac, Anderson said. But instead of a friendly reunion, Tupac was confronted by 3 armed men in the lobby. The legendary rapper Spice One, Tupac's friend with whom he recorded classic hits like Jealous Got Me Strapped, narrates the story exactly as Tupac told him a few weeks later. He said he grabbed a guy's gun, and they were struggling back and forth, Spice One recalls. According to Spice One, Tupac described the chilling moment. They both paused, went to shot, and then he started pulling. He looked at him in the face, and then he started struggling again. Dude shot again, and then shot one more time. That's when he shot him in the groin area. He said, "You know, that's when I fell to the ground." The incident at Quad Studios was more than just a robbery gone wrong for Tupac Shakur. It was a betrayal. Biggie and Tupac had once been close friends, their bond rooted in their shared passion for hip-hop. Both artists hailed from backgrounds rife with struggle and hardship, which they funneled into their music, earning acclaim from fans and critics alike. However, after the Quad Studios incident, their friendship quickly soured. Shakur openly accused Biggie, his label Bad Boy Records, and Sean "Puffy" Combs of having prior knowledge of the shooting, an accusation they vehemently denied. The incident sparked a feud that tore the hip-hop community apart, giving rise to the infamous East Coast versus West Coast rivalry. "It definitely pivoted to where it was more serious," Spice One said. It wasn't just competition anymore." Shakur's allegations effectively drew the battle lines in the sand. On the East Coast, representing New York, stood Biggie and his Bad Boy Records, a powerhouse in the rap industry. Shakur's allegations effectively drew the battle lines in the sand, East Coast versus West Coast. On the West Coast, representing Los Angeles, stood Shakur and Death Row Records, another dominant force in the game. The rivalry became a key narrative in hip-hop, with fans, artists, and industry personnel all being forced to choose a side. Both artists used their music as an outlet for their frustrations. Diss tracks became their weapons of choice. Shakur's Hit 'Em Up is one of the most direct and aggressive diss tracks in rap history, taking aim squarely at Biggie, Bad Boy Records, and anyone affiliated with them. In return, Biggie's Who Shot Ya, although he claimed it was not about Tupac, was perceived as a direct taunt regarding the Quad Studios shooting, fueling the fire even more. "There was so much controversy around who did it, you know, and how did this happen?" said Ralph McDaniels, a music video director, DJ and VJ, and co-creator of Video Music Box with Lionel C. Martin, a show which is still currently going strong. The feud between Shakur and Biggie had a profound effect on the direction of hip-hop. The genre, which had always served as an expression of the struggles faced by marginalized communities, became more violent and aggressive in its narratives. The feud between Shakur and Biggie had a profound effect on the direction of hip-hop. It amplified the perceived danger and hostility within the rap world, ultimately leading to both artists meeting tragic ends. Tupac was gunned down in 1996, and Biggie met a similar fate in 1997. "I know one thing for sure is that they were best friends, at one point, and they were lovers of the culture," McDaniels said. The shooting at Quad Studios and the dispute it birthed permanently changed the landscape of rap, marking the end of one era and the beginning of another. The impact of the feud, as Anderson puts it, changed the trajectory of hip-hop. The impact of the feud, as Anderson puts it, changed the trajectory of hip-hop. It made Biggie and Tupac both bigger stars. It made Death Row a force in hip-hop for the next 5 or 6 years, Anderson said. It made Bad Boy a force in hip-hop for the next 5 or 6 years, and everybody that was influenced by that era also learned something from that. They learned that a beef between artists can really get out of hand. There's way too much money and way too much collegiality among artists these days. I think for it to get quite that bad again, but you never know. Based on statements made to police by witnesses to the shooting, it went down like this. After finishing the taping session, Tupac was paged by a rapper named Booker, who asked him to tape a song with Little Sean, an East Coast rapper. Tupac told him he'd do it that day for $7,000. Booker agreed and told Tupac it was to take place at Quad Studios at 723 7th Avenue between 48th and 49th Streets in Times Square. While heading out to the studio, Tupac got a second call from Booker asking why he was taking so long. Then came a third call telling Tupac they didn't have the money to pay him. Tupac told Booker he wouldn't record unless he was paid, and hung up. Finally, Tupac got a fourth call from Booker, telling him that Uptown Entertainment would take care of the fee, which would be waiting for him when he finished recording. Tupac headed for the studio. By that time, it was just after midnight. At 12:16 a.m., according to Detective George Nagy with the NYPD's Midtown North 18th Precinct, Tupac, along with his manager Freddie Moore, his common-law brother-in-law Zayd Turner, fellow rapper Randy Stretch Walker, and his half-sister Sakiwa arrived at Quad Studios. They left their car in a parking garage at 148 West 48th Street. Then they walked the short distance, around the Comer, to the studio on 7th Avenue. 9 minutes later, Tupac and his group arrived in front of the studio, a police report said. Standing on a small terrace overlooking 48th Street for a smoke break were a couple of teenage members of Junior Mafia, a group Biggie Smalls was sponsoring. They hollered down to Tupac to say hello, then went back inside to tell everyone that Tupac had arrived, back on the street on 7th Avenue. As Tupac and the others approached the entrance to Quad Studios, they could see two black men near the elevator wearing army fatigues, recognized by Tupac as gang garb worn mostly in the Brooklyn area. A third man, also black, was in the lobby, pretending to read a newspaper. Tupac and his group didn't think twice about the men. Tupac pressed the intercom button. The four were buzzed in. As they walked toward the elevator, Tupac, according to the police report, was ambushed by the three men, including the man who had been standing just outside the lobby. Two of the three men pulled identical handguns, NYPD Detective George Nagy said. They went straight for Tupac, ordering him to the floor and demanding he give up all his jewelry and money. When Tupac went for his own gun stashed in his waistband, they shot him. A round hit him in the groin area and passed through his thigh. That bullet cost him a testicle. Then the gunmen began beating him. They ripped his jewelry off him, then shot him again, hitting him in the chest. Tupac was shot 5 times, twice in the head, twice in the groin area, and once in his left hand. Freddie was shot once in his abdomen. None of the wounds were life-threatening. The men also snatched jewelry from Freddie Moore as they continued holding guns on the others, Nagy said. All told, Tupac had $35,000 worth of gold taken from him. Stolen were a diamond and gold ring, a gold bracelet, and several heavy gold chains. Freddie had $5,000 worth of jewelry stolen, which consisted of a gold bracelet and several gold chains. 2 years later, in one of the last interviews he gave to Vibe magazine, Tupac spoke to a reporter about what it felt like to get shot.